Hello, uh, I would like to show you probably the most common case in enterprise maps, and this is how to get the data from your systems into enterprise maps using the spreadsheets. So for this purpose, we have prepared a nice demo example which is represented by this Excel sheet. You can find it in your Enterprise Maps instance, or you can download it from HP Live Network. So in this spreadsheet, you can see that we have multiple sheets down here, and basically the first ones represented the data which you usually get from when you export the data from your systems. So here we have some information about the application. So here every application is represented by the name, description, version, ID. There are some owners and other users which are using this application or are somehow responsible for this application. You have the information about the cost, and then every application is somehow organized in your organization structure. Then we have the information about the servers. So every server is represented by the name. You have the information about the environment, CPUs, memory, operating system, location, and application which is running on this server. Then we have the information about the operating systems. So you can see basically what all the operating systems which are used in the organization and what is the stage of the system, how much it is supported or unsupported. Last but not least is the information about the users. So every user is represented by the name, which is the first name, surname, by the login name and an email. This is the usual structure which in very similar way you are able to export from basically any system. So now we would like to get this information into the enterprise maps. Most difficult case is the mapping of those data into enterprise maps. So for this purpose we have prepared this picture which describes how the mapping is realized. So you can find here all the artifacts from Enterprise Maps model which will be used in this, let's say, transformation. So let's go over the data and how we are working with them. So regarding the applications, for applications we have something what we call application component artifact. So we simply take the information from the applications sheet and move it to the application component artifact. You can see that we are using the formulas, so you don't need to copy paste the values. You can simply use the formulas. This header follows the format or database model from the enterprise maps. So what is necessary to know here is that basically the name of the sheet is the name of the artifact type which you will use. In the header you are using the attributes from these artifact types. So I do not want to dive into the details in this demo. I will create another video which will cover this. You can of course use this file as a template, which means that you can simply change the data here on those steps and they will be propagated into the others. For the demo purposes, there are some data which are generated, which is financial profiles, for example. These are simply random numbers, of course, and if you want to change it, you can do it. It's not a problem. It covers all the attributes which can be mapped into the enterprise maps. So what we can do with this file? So you should have your own instance of enterprise maps, and if you log in as the administrator, I would recommend you to create a special domain in order to import the data from this sheet. So in the administration section, user management, domains, simply create a new domain. Let's call it Spreadsheet Import Demo. Type could be demo data, and that's all. So now we have the domain. If we go back to the catalog, we have to switch to this domain. And switch domain. So now you can see that we are working in our new domain. Of course, it's also possible to specify the domain name in the spreadsheet, and then if it's specified there, then the data will be always imported into the specified domain from the spreadsheet. But in this case, because there is no information about the domain, the data will be imported into the domain which you are currently in. Another thing is in our example we are using the lifecycle process for the operating systems, which is here. It's a lifecycle stage, and the process is called system software lifecycle. So before the import, we have to be sure that this process is published. It's a enterprise maps specific that if you create the lifecycle process, then in order to be able to use it, you have to publish it. So we go back to administration, to governance section, lifecycle processes, and here we simply publish the system software lifecycle. Okay. So now we can see that it's published, which means that we can use it. So let's get back to the catalog. Again, check the domain, it's still okay. Let's go to the import section, spreadsheet. And now you simply take your Excel file and drag and drop it here and start the import. So import of this file, because it contains like 7,000 artifacts, will take some time. It takes about an hour. You can see that something is already happening, that you can see some notifications. Anytime during the import, you can refresh this page to see the details. So we can already see that we have some artifacts imported. Right now it's 16. You can see it in the right bottom corner. If I refresh it again, I can see that the number is growing. I already have over 100 artifacts, so there is about 7,000 artifacts. So just be patient. It was not necessary to create such a complex case in order to cover all the options from the real world. Okay, our import is finished. So in my case it took like 40 minutes, and you can see it wasn't 7,000 but 5,000 artifacts. On the report below, you can see the detail regarding the import. So you can basically see what artifact was imported and what action was taken. So here, for example, at the business functions, we are using the business functions from the demo data. So in my case, because I have already the demo data imported, the business functions were only updated, which is indicated here. And you can also see that the business functions are in the demo example domain. So the domain wasn't changed. If we look further into the report, you can see that, for example, at the servers, because the servers didn't exist in the system before the import, you can see that they were created, and they were created in our domain, which was exactly what we wanted. So now let's take a look at the data. Again, if I look back into the sheet, you can, at the end, you have also the examples and screenshots of the data. Every time there is a place where you can find such view, let's observe it in the application. So if we go to catalog, artifacts, and we look at application components, here we can see all the application components, so it's good to restrict it to our domain. And here is, let's say, let's take the RNLAM. You can see observe all the data here, but it's for the first view, it's good to use the navigator. So in the navigator view, you can basically observe all the relationships and all the connections and how basically the application is positioned in the scope of other artifacts. So we can see that we have the financial profile here for the RRNLAM. We can see that there are multiple infrastructure services. We can see multiple servers. For example, in this case, at every server you are able to see which data center it is in. We can see even in which operating system or what operating system is used on this server. On the other side, we can see the business functions. So which is pretty complex structure. Every time there is a plus, it means that there are more, or there is another structure behind this artifact. So if you double click it, it will be expanded, and the details will be shown. So as you can see, this one is divided into other two where there is a project and another business function. Also, you can see, for example, here that there are, on this data center, there are another 163 servers. So we can click it. It will ask us whether we are sure what we are doing, because it's complex operation from the performance point of view, and also the data will be huge and almost unusable, but it's possible to show it. We can simply, by double click, you can collapse it back. In the navigator, you can also change the layout, and you can, in this case, it's, for example, useful this architectural view, which will show you this the artifacts from the in the layer scopes. So there is the business application technology scopes according to Archimate. So you can see the artifacts in divided into the scopes. So on every artifact, it's possible to use the right click and show it in the catalog. So let's take a look at this server. For example, yes, you can see the information from the sheet in the description, and that's regarding the catalog view. Let's move to the reports. So in the reports, we provide multiple out-of-the-box reports. So let's look, for example, at transformation install software map, where you can see all the operating systems which are used in the or system softwares which are used in the or are defined in enterprise maps. You can also see in what stage they are. So the green one are in the production, the red ones shouldn't be used, the yellow one are already unsupported. The size of the box represents simply the number of installations. So the bigger the box, the more this software is used. So the most used is Windows Server 2008, which is probably good, but as you can see, you still have plenty of 2003 version which is unsupported, so you should migrate it to the 2008 probably. Okay, so that was installed software map. Another report is investments per capability. For example, from the financial reports. So we can see the business functions structured in this report, which shows the hierarchy of the business functions. So for example, if we change the background color to business function type, and we change the frame to display the investment priority, we are able to see what type of the business function it is, which is represented by the color. So it is either the innovation, differentiator, or commodity, or it's not set. And the frame represents our investment plan priority, so where we will invest first. So for example, here we can see that those three business functions has the high priority for investment, so it will probably get the money soon. So another useful report is, for example, application costs chart. Sorry. Which is this nice bubble map which shows you the labor cost per each application. So the size of the bubble shows you how much you are paying for the labor of for this application. So if you hover on this bubble, you can see the name of the application and the details. Let's shrink this report to our data only. So we have the spreadsheet import demo. So now we are able to see only the data which we imported, which is more interesting than if we see all the data in enterprise maps. Also here we are displaying the application health. So it's taken from the cloud transformation use case perspective. So this is another example of the reports. Another useful report here is governance dashboard. So if you visit the governance dashboard for the first time, you will see something like this, which is basically empty report. In order to see some data here, you have to run the task which calculates the policy compliance. You can either click on every recalculate link here in order to see the data in specific windows, or you can go to administration, and in configuration section there is the tasks, and you can run the policy report validation task here. Okay, which will simply run all the policies, and this means that all the data will be displayed in this report, and you don't have to click on the recalculate link in each window. The information that the task was finished means only that the worker threads were started. So right now it will take about 15-20 minutes to calculate all the data. During the calculations you are already able to see some particular results, but it's good to wait until it's finished. Okay, so after 15-20 minutes all the reports were or results were calculated. So now we are on the governance dashboard, so you can see the useful information regarding the policy compliance. It's divided into multiple sections here. So you can see the Archimate compliance of your data. Okay, most of them are compliant. You can see the planning consistency. On every report here you can see the top 5 artifacts with the worst results. So you can very easily click there and go and drill down for the details. Usually to catalog you can see the policy report, and you can see where is the problem, why, which policies were not successful, and what to do with them. So that was the governance dashboard. On every this dashboard like this, you can always move the window to the full screen, change the position of the window on the dashboard and stuff like that. So if you look at the overview sheet in the Excel, you can find a couple more reports mentioned here. I would leave it up to you to observe the data in the enterprise maps and play with it. So thank you for watching this video and enjoy.